Hey everyone, welcome to Performacast Season 2, Episode 2. And today we got a great guest on the line, and that's Alfredo Zapata, all the way from Mexico. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, on TikTok. There's going to be giveaways, there's going to be tons of guests, tons of information, cutting edge health cutting edge health information out there that's going to come right here to you. And yeah, we're going to give some giveaways, a lot of great fun. So before we start, I want to just read Alfredo's bio. And he's a nutritionist, he's a fitness coach, speaker and author for 30 years experience in holistic approach to health. And he's got a well-being program called Connect Mind and Body. And it's about physical to performance and to mental performance. Have I got it, Alfredo?
Yes, well, thank you for having me, Josie. It's very, very nice just being here, especially starting this Monday. I think Monday for some people is not the best day because I think, the mind always saying, well, after a weekend, I wanted to kind of start back again at work or school. But I think the mind is tricky when you let it go without, direction. And I think performing is something very important when you do it, with a purpose. So I'm here to share and glad that you invited me.
Okay, great, Alfredo. So, it's a Monday, so just past the weekend. Everyone's going, partying, especially youngsters, some older people. What's your advice to get back on the wheel, to get back into health, to get back into fitness on Monday and keep repeating it over and over?
Yeah, well, I've been reading some people who are very much into mindset, and one of the research they found that helps a lot for people to actually start doing things. And sometimes when you don't want to do something, is basically counting backwards from 5 to 1, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start taking action. Because I think when you think too much, you're lingering in your mind how difficult it is, how cold it is, you don't want to do it, you're tired. But when you do that, based on research, and you just start doing it right after you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it really makes sense. In my case, when I was younger, my uncle used to take me to this public shower after playing soccer and stuff. And after you went to the steam room and you came out, it was like, you're sweating and stuff. So there was a big shower head that was cold. And he will say, Alfredo, just get in. It will help your body. But I will just breathe and feel like the whole water pour myself, and I feel relief. So after I read this research, like the one I mentioned, it was very helpful for me to do things. Like, for example, when you start a day, like on Monday, and you're saying, well, it's Monday, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. And you just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you break the mind cycle, and then you start doing it, and you feel like already happening, and you don't have to be worried about waiting. I think waiting is gonna take you off. But if you do that simple thing, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you get in the shower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you make a call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you start doing things. It will help you to clear your mind and put into action.
That's a very interesting way of putting it, because a lot of people want to think about it, how to go about. So you don't give a chance a brain to think about. But what specific steps? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What are we going to do? Wake up, shower. Okay, pour cold water. In terms of health, in terms of fitness, in terms of nutrition, what are we going to do in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
Well, after that you do, you're gonna start focusing more on what is the priority that you have in the day. because I think sometimes we don't compartmentalize, we don't put a schedule to do things, and we do only the urgent things. So we don't do the important. And I think once we have that discipline that we do it on a regular basis, because the body doesn't know if it's Sunday, if it's a holiday, if it's raining, if it's dark, whatever you tell the mind is going to believe it, and the body is going to react to what you take into. And I think one of the main things that I learned from this coach who was coaching Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan was your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. Because if your feelings control your mind, you're out. Especially when people were like in this case, they were with a bunch of people in the field trying to perform, and if the mind was distracted because of the pressure, the bullying, or whatever, they will be out. Their shot won't be making it to the basket, and they will feel the frustration. So when I start reading about this Team Grove, which is the coach that was very much working with them back in the beginning, it was pretty helpful because it gave them mission, and the mind start becoming a lot more stronger. And the feelings, yeah, you might feel tired or a bit distracted, but your mind was just sharp going into that performance and have success.
I completely agree with you. I mean, you've got to, your feelings come and go. Feelings come and go. So if you don't do something because you don't feel like it, that feeling comes and go, but then you're already busy onto the next task and that time is already gone. I've learned it takes time to get in that mindset, but for me, like I don't for training, when it comes to training, whether I feel like it, whether I'm tired or I'm not, of course I adapt my training accordingly, but I am consistent. I've got to do it. I don't care how I feel. It's not, I've got to do it because I know when I start, the feeling will change and it will become like a better feeling. And then you're like, oh wow, this is actually not too bad. Now I'm into it. Now I'm awake. Now I can do more and then adapt it again. And actually, my best breakthroughs have come from really not feeling like it and doing it. I'm sure maybe you have had a similar experience to that.
Yeah, yeah, it was especially when we were in the training arena working with this client who became a very much my first prototype based on discipline and consistency. It was back in the early 80s when I was in Gold's Gym in Venice in Los Angeles. And she was someone who was looking to become healthier because she has previously some type of hormonal imbalance when she was a teenager. So she immigrated to LA, to improve her life and to do better things. Even though she was a swimmer when she was younger, she had this hormonal problem. Anyway, so I met her, we became good friends, and I started helping her to narrow down her focus, which it was just becoming healthier. It wasn't becoming a bodybuilder and win a championship, which she did, but it was more like having a set schedule, and the confidence that she felt from me, it was like incredible because I was just guiding her. I wasn't pushing her, and she was feeling the hand to hand walking through the whole process because she enjoyed, even though sometimes it was difficult, when you do, one more set or one more repetition on the exercise and you feel like you can't do it, but you have someone who's giving you the little insight to say, let's keep it up, remember your focus, and she started doing it. And she won the first competition, first place on the beginners contest for a woman in a different country it was a mind-boggling for me because I said the first person, and I didn't have that much experience. It was in the early '90s, and I felt so good because I felt like I contribute to someone to change the life, and then she continued to, help people not on the fitness arena, but more like a mindset and development. So I felt pretty proud of it.
Well, that's amazing. That's a great story. I mean, focus is key, as you know. Like focus can help you save your life from not being avoiding a car accident. And then we know so many people lose their focus on the road. They're distracted. I think distraction is a big enemy for focus. And tell me more about how you get specifically with exercise. What like exercise do you get people to focus and like really focus on?
Yeah, well, it's a good question because part of what I started learning and developed a program, which is connecting mind and body, it was at early age when I was growing up here in Mexico, the only child from a single mom. It was kind of not usual for, Latin families to have only one child and be a single mom. So I felt like I wanted to fit in, but I was always questioning things. Why is this happening? Why is that? And why not? So I grew up in a business district. So on the weekends, it was hardly anyone on the street. So I started walking around 5, 6 years old, just by myself, and I started running. And the running started creating some type of endorphin, some type of energy that got me to feel connected with my body, just like intuitive. And I felt like I was in control. I felt like something was happening, like those superheroes that you get the powers and you don't know what to do with it. So I felt like, oh man, it feels great. And I was watching on TV, soccer playing and stuff, but it wasn't related to the sport. It was related to the motion of my body and feeling something good. I feel like I was the owner of that feeling. So then I played little soccer, then martial arts, then bodybuilding. But it was always that particular point of moving my body to some type of activity and give me that type of like a power, like super uh, endorphin. And then once I started learning a little more about biomechanics, about the movement, I realized that the mind needed to be connected with the posture of the body. So because sometimes we learn, when we start growing up, crawling, walking, running, but we don't connect specifically how we do it. We start doing it, whether you do it right or wrong. And then we have some teachers, like the doctor, if you have flat feet, if you have like physical education at school, let's play, let's do a little warm up. But I believe they never teach people how to do it the proper walking, the proper alignment of your spine. So when you start going to school, you carry the bag, you walk in funny, you have not the right shoes. Everything else is just getting your mind distracted. Because if you feel discomfort on your neck or your back or your knees, you want to get rid of it, but you don't want to look the origin because you just want that quick fix, right? You take a pill, you put a little ointment, a cream, you put acupuncture or massage, and it goes away. But the mind doesn't connect and saying, what is this came from? How can I stop from coming back?
It's amazing you say It's amazing you say that because mind-body connection is huge. It's so important. And a lot of people out there, I see, like, when I've been at the gym and they're lifting weights or they're on the treadmill, they have like, earpods and they're very disconnected from what they're doing. They're just going through the motions. And I see like them, I saw them down the line and then they have like a shoulder injury or knee injury or some kind of back injury. And then they're out for like a few months and they feel their whole mindset starts to go down, and it's a vicious kind of cycle. So what you're saying is really, really important, to be able to not only connect the mind to the body, but say if you're running, for example, and you've got a slight twitch or pain, you notice it. You're able to notice it, to connect, to change whatever you were doing wrong, and be aware of what you're doing. So I think that's a very important point with when it comes to everything, where we need to connect both our mind and body, because that in itself we can start to learn and not just go through the motion. I mean, I was one of those when I had my school bag and my posture was very poor and my low back was hurting, my knees were hurting because everything was out of alignment, and I just didn't understand why I was feeling like an 80-year-old and a 20-year-old or a 17-year-old body. Like I just didn't understand until I started, researching and doing the right things and started connecting my mind to the body. And it's amazing how, because a lot of people don't connect their mind to the body.
Yeah, that's right. That's very important, especially now in the 21st century. People get distracted and we just live from the neck up, and the body gets disconnected, like I mentioned. So I started focusing more on that. And what I do in my program is a posture evaluation first, where I take pictures of the person, front, back, and side, and I show to the person. And I tell them, Josie, how do you see your shoulder? What shoulder is higher than the other one? How do you see your hips, your feet, your knees? I normally ask the person to take a picture with shorts and with a little tight clothing so they can see the silhouette of the body and see the alignment with their eyes, not with my eyes, because I can tell you your shoulder is crooked, is rotated forward. But if you see it yourself, we start going into your mind a different concept of you. And then I tell the person, based on your anatomic posture, your posture should be this way. So I align it on 3 points, which is the stance. How do you stand based on your hip width? How do you keep your abdominals tucked in so you can expand your rib cage? And how do you keep your chin so your neck is more linear and it takes away some of the pressure from your trapezius, from your neck? And then I take a picture again. So I show the person, I say, Joseph, how do you see your posture now? You look different? You feel different? So the person say, oh yeah, I feel better. I look taller. I walk different. So from there, that repetition, it becomes a second nature, new habit. And that start putting into any activity that you do more connection with the mind and the body. So the results are better. You using less energy, you improve what you do, you have less chances to get into another injury. Because I have people with hip replacement, with knee problems, they have a new, repair on the body. But if the body didn't recall the right posture, they're gonna go back with some type of injury again, even though they might replacement.
And now the mind body, we talked about that. What do you think about what we put into the body in terms of nutrition? I mean, nutrition is very connected as well to energy levels, to keeping you healthy. Your food could be either your poison or could be your healing. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, okay. Well, you mentioned the second point of my program. My program is based on 3 points: posture, nutrition, and physical activity. So we got the posture right. If you don't have the posture right, what you eat is gonna be emotional because you feel in a bad mood. You feel achy. Even though you know what to eat, you're gonna say, forget it. I'm gonna go for a box of donuts. I'm gonna eat some quesadilla. I'm gonna drink some beer, people that drink, and I'm gonna just trying to get some comfort. I don't wanna focusing on this thing that hurts me, I'm gonna get some relief, right? And then you go into the gym or you go into jacuzzi or CrossFit or something that makes you sweat like a horse to feel some relief from the stress that you have, mental and physical. And then the cycle never stops. So posture first, I adjust the posture so the person feel better, so they have more inclination to eat better. They won't get emotional trigger because they know what to eat. You know, you can go YouTube, Google, you can find how to eat. So there is no excuse for that. But if you feel good, you're gonna have more inclination, right? To say, I'm gonna choose the right food, I'm gonna ask the coach, I'm gonna call Alfredo or anyone, and I'm gonna eat right. And then when I exercise, I have the right posture, I have the right nutrition, and then the exercise is gonna give me the results that I'm looking for. Not the other way around, which is what marketing does. Train hard, eat less, and then what about the posture and the stress mental?
Yeah, I love that idea with the emotional eating. Like it's an interesting point that you make when it comes to if you're not feeling good and you're so focused on your back pain, your shoulder pain, whatever the case is. Yeah, of course you want to like distract the pain and you want to do whatever, whether you eating donuts so you can feel like better at that moment, and you're not really picturing the long term benefits. And I'm very much in terms of longevity and holistic in terms of holistic health. And it seems like a lot of your programs geared towards longevity. When I'm 90, I want to be able to move well. There's no age is just a number for me because, if you're doing the right things, you've got those three pillars, as you said. I think age just becomes a number. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. You just speaking like I send you my thoughts about it. You know, I'm 62, but I feel like 35 with experience because the age is just a number. And I think when we start changing the mind and getting out of the box and becoming the purple cow, which is the title of the book of Seth Godin, which is a very famous marketer, you really feel empowered because you don't give any thought about what people think or what people say or what society say about that, because if your mind is open to grow, you're not gonna be putting any cap of age, race, or anything. When you're trying to become your best version, you want it to grow. So that particular point is really important in this society for people to realize, even the young generation and the older, to really see the most important thing in life when you're alive is keeping your health, mind, and body optimum, not just maintain. Because some people they say, well, I'm diabetic or I have this problem, chronic fatigue, but I'm maintaining because I take medication. So they're just mitigating or delaying the actual chronic and very disastrous ending of that person's life because they're not looking to improve, to make it better. They just want to keep it comfort. I don't want to bother to do anything. I'm fine. I don't want to do a little extra more. Because society say, well, if you're comfortable, that's good. Sit on your couch, watch your favorite series, and that's it. And sign your will so you can leave it to somebody. But I think that's a very awkward way of thinking in this
Amazing.
time.
It reminds me of like a saying of choose your heart, like choose easy now and make your life harder in the long run, or choose harder now and make your life easier in the long run. And makes sense, like why, like, yeah, watch your series, but maybe be active while you're watching it. Like I'm bouncing and sitting on a ball now, so I keep my blood flow going. It's just small, as you say, it's part of a mindset. It's being like learning what to do, how to do, keeping yourself active so you don't become this couch potato and can't move and a hugely obese person, which then you depend on other people. But my hat's off to you that you are 60. How old did you say? You're 66, 62? Yeah, and you feel like you're 35 or something. I'm like 44 at the moment, and I feel like I'm in my 20s. So like we have a very similar like outlook in terms of longevity and the way to do things and getting it proactive as opposed to reactive way of doing things. So that when you're in pain, you go to the doctor and pop a pill. That's very much reactive, and I don't have to think about it. But we need to think about our health because that's the only place where we really have to live in. And this technology, we connected to robots and we don't need our body anymore. But I don't want that, or I don't think that should happen. Are there any
Right.
other advice or tips that you can give us? I'm sure you got plenty.
Yeah, one of the main things that I was just thinking when you were talking is about how do you talk to yourself, but also what type of environment are you in? Are you participating with people like you, people like-minded, or people in a higher frequencies that really show the way of living fully with those concepts of focusing on what you're thinking, how you feeling, and how you acting? Because the people that you connect with, it will really give you the inspiration to see that it is possible. And we were just talking about age, and I've been following some people who are older than me and have an incredible shape, but first of all, mindset, and other people who are, maybe below my age, but they've been overcoming challenges, people with no arms, with no legs, or people who were very strong and very chaotic environment growing up and raising up not just financially but mainly mentally. It really gives me the vision and saying, well, Alfredo, you've been here in Mexico 10 years because I was deported. Actually, I was deported in 2012, and the whole thing of family and stuff. My family is in LA. I'm here only with my son. He's 22. He has autism. So it was kind of like saying, well, Alfredo, you're not going back to regress on your life. You're coming with a mission to become my best version so I can share with others that particular way that is possible to do it. So I think mindset and who you connect with, it will help you to improve longevity, health, mentally, and physically.
Amazing. I love what you said, like with your son, like you want to be able to look after others and yourself. So you got to keep yourself in a higher frequency, as you say. And there's so many ways to there's so many ways to get the higher frequency. Of course, training, nutrition, but there's so many also different ways of what you're putting in, what you're watching. Changes your frequency. If it's just what you're listening to, is it full of rapping downgrades of frequency? Are you taking cold showers, for example, upgrades your frequency? There's so many different things to improve your frequency. Not swearing, for example, is again upping your frequency. And as you say, there's the people with a higher frequency are going to have the more benefit, the less stress. They're going to feel more sense of wholeness and have more inner meaning, which I think is what people are craving for nowadays.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned a very important thing. That sometimes we don't want to face reality because we're afraid of ourselves not being complete. And the other one is to be excluded because people want to belong to a place where they can get some type of recognition, but sometimes they don't realize that if they're not growing and they just want to be comfortable in that particular environment, they're gonna be just desiccated and become like a raisin, a grape that got just desiccated and had nothing in it because they're afraid to get out and saying, well, my body and my mind is more important than who who is around me. And if I don't put that particular effort and saying, I'm gonna get inspired with you, I'm gonna get inspired with people who are in that frequency to really get the best of what I can accomplish and feel fulfilled. Like I don't watch television. I had very few places and I get some content, entertainment, but only with something that I can learn from. I don't associate with people who have a low expectation of themselves, and I limit my connection even with family members, and I love and I care for them because sometimes they don't have the same frequency, and that is something that it can drain my energy as well, even though I care for them and I want to do something for them, but we can only do so much for ourselves. And if we're not 100% right, how can we expect to help someone with inspiration, not with motivation to push them, but with our own example? And I think that's what I've been learning. People like you and others, they've been putting the content, or I've been connecting with them. That really gives me something to think and say, well, Alfredo, he's doing all these things. What can you do on your own to improve yourself so you can get that growth and really enjoy life and not just be miserable and saying, oh, I wish and I wish and I wish, and the regret, it will kill you. And in many ways, if you don't do something about it right now.
Yeah, 100%. You are like what you surround yourself. You are the average person of who you surround yourself with. So you got to protect your energy. You got to protect. You got to be aware, not get into low frequency groups because that's unfortunately just keeps doing a vicious cycle and goes down and down and down. And it's so important, as you say. We have to look after, protect our energy. I've also got family members I don't have much to do it because they bring you down, and like you need to protect that energy. And I've got three kids on my own, and I have to look after them. I have to be there for them. I have to show them and lead them the right way and the best way I can. And by doing that, it's not about telling them; it's by them seeing what I do and them seeing me training, them seeing me eating right, not consuming rubbish. It gives them a good foundation to what they can do and what they can become. So, Alfredo, we're running out of time. I really want to thank you. It was a really great talk. You added some real value to our audience. Thank you so much for being on Performacast. And just remember, there are going to be a lot of giveaways down the line and prizes and all different types of exciting stuff. So stay tuned and we'll see you next episode.
Yeah, thank you very much.